a quiet village nestled between hills and rivers lived a young man named Arif. He wasn't wealthy, he didn't have fancy cloth, but he had something that many people around him had long lost: a dream. Arif dreamed of climbing the tallest mountain in the country. It stood like a giant on the horizon, shrouded in mist, feared by many. Villagers called it the Impossible Peak, and they said only professionals with international teams dared attempt it. One evening, as Arif stood watching the distant silhouette of the mountain under the fading sun, he whispered to himself, "One day, I'll stand at the top of that mountain." When he shared this dream with others, they laughed. His friends mocked him gently at first, but over time their voices turned sharper. "You? Climb that? You're not strong enough. Do you even know how dangerous it is? Stop daydreaming and find a proper job." But Arif didn't let the noise enter his heart. He knew the journey would be hard, but he believed that everything great begins with belief. Since he had no money for a gym or a trainer, Arif created his own routine. Every morning before dawn, while the village still slept, he ran up the steep trails behind the fields. He carried sacks of sand on his back to build strength. He learned to use ropes and knots from an old fisherman. He collected climbing books from libraries miles away. At night, he'd read under a dim lantern. He learned about frostbite, altitude sickness, and how to read maps. He couldn't afford real climbing gear, so he started buying secondhand items. A torn backpack here, a scratched helmet there. Piece by piece, he built his own kit. It took him 2 years. 2 years of early mornings, sore muscles, and sacrifices. While others were celebrating, Arif was grinding in silence. He became stronger, faster, and wiser. And most importantly, he never gave up. Finally, the day came. With a small bag of essentials, Arif arrived at the base of mountain. The air was thin, and the peak looked far beyond the clouds. Most climbers had teams, sponsors, and Sherpas. Arif had none of that, just his dream and his determination. As he started climbing, the mountain tested him. On the 3rd day, a blizzard hit. Icy winds cut his face like knives. He lost his way, fell into a snow-covered ditch, and injured his shoulder. For 2 hours, he lay in the snow, shivering and disoriented. Maybe this is it, he thought. Maybe they were right. Maybe I'm not meant for this. But then, in the stillness, he remembered his grandfather's words. The hardest climb always leads to the best view. He clenched his fists, gritted his teeth, and pulled himself up, inch by inch, hour by hour. He melted snow in a tin can to drink water. He ate dry nuts to keep going. He talked to himself, prayed, and remembered every moment of sacrifice that brought him here. On the 7th day, Arif reached the summit. The sky opened like a painting. Endless clouds lay below his feet. The sun burst through in gold and orange. It was silent, peaceful, and overwhelming. He raised his arms and cried, not just from the cold, but from the realization that he had done it. He had conquered the impossible. Not just the mountain, but the doubts, the rejections, the fear. When Arif returned, his story spread. People who once laughed now looked at him with awe. Children in the village began to talk about dreams again. He wasn't just a climber anymore. He was hope. And when anyone asked what made him succeed, he always smiled and said, it wasn't strength, it wasn't money, it was belief and the refusal to quit. Moral of the story: whatever your mountain is, an exam, a job, a skill, a battle in life, you can climb it. People will doubt you. Even you will doubt yourself. But if you don't stop climbing, someday you'll stand at the top, and the view will be worth every step.